Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me today. It's been a while since I've done a CEO Roundtable show, but now that I've been situated down in Mexico here in my new home, and I've been set my office up and everything, I'm excited to get my CEO Roundtables going again. And today I have a special guest, Dominique Doucet. He's the leader of the team over there at Sirios Resources at Sirios.com, one of my sponsors. And just to set the stage a little bit for our new and past viewers, a couple things got my attention and made Sirios a pick before they became a sponsor. And why I picked the company is mainly two things: their location. They're right near a spectacular mine that was found by Virginia Gold, by Andre Goumand, a past guest on the shows, and then later sold to Goldcorp, who's now got the mine going, and it's a very exciting discovery at Eleanor. The Sirios is right beside Eleanor, and being in closeology sometimes means a lot, sometimes it doesn't mean very much. What got my attention was when they announced hole number 52, probably about a year and a half ago. Hole number 52 was quite a nice intersection of high-grade gold. And that's why I originally made Sirius a pick. Since then, over the last year and a half or so, they've had a lot of success on sort of two kinds of targets. And Dominique will expand on this more for us. One's a sort of a lower grade bulk tonnage type targets, and then they've got high grade. And in yesterday's news, the company talked about some sampling that's quite important to this high grade story. And I wanted to get Dominique on to talk about it. So thank you very much for joining us today, Dominique.
Thank you, Alan.
So what I would like to do, Dominique, is I think what I'll do is I'm going to go right to a screen share, and I'm going to bring up your website. And what I'll do when I get this figured out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to your the news release, Dominique. So maybe give us a little introduction into what was impressive to you about the news release yesterday.
Okay, there was a lot of information, in fact, in that release. For sure, the grade and the width that we intercept on surface in trench 2/2 is quite exciting. We got a good grade of 4 grams per ton gold over a bit more than 21 meters. A land which seemed to be very close to the true width. And we have to mention that this is the total length of the stripped bedrock. So we were able to...
Oh, hold on a second there, Dominique. Did I hear you, that was at the bottom of the stripped area, did you say?
No, I mean it's a trench. So we at that specific place we were able to strip a stretch of 22-23 meters. So we sampled everything we could. And we got gold on all the land that we were that we exposed. So it's fantastic, you know. The trench is ending at place where we cannot dig furthermore because overburden depth is greater than 3 meters, which is normally maximum depth you could reach with the mechanic shallow.
What stood out to me from the news, Dominique, was what the material that you found there is that it's at the contact of a couple important packages of rock, and so it's, you know, kind of sounding to me like hole number 52 kind of stuff. And so tell us more about the size of that outcrop and how much you've trenched and what your next goals are, Dominique.
You're right, because when we cleaned that trench and we saw those the rocks, we just realized that it was a similar setting that we already intersect in the past in hole 52, but now we have an access directly on surface with a similar setting. I have to mention that it's a mix of tonalite tides within the Waikiki or the metasediment, but it is close to the main contact with the main, let's say, metasedimentary unit and the main tonalite intrusion. It's
now
probably 50 meters away from the main contact, so it's right outside the important intrusive tonalitic mass, and similar to the hole 52. So at that place we got gold in both the metasediment and the tonalite, but the tonalite is as a form of dikes, or a kind of finger intruded inside the metasediment. It's a mix of those two lithologies, and we have a good grade when we have that type of mix.
Now,
yes.
How far in distance, if you projected down to where hole 52 intersected, how far are you from where you've got it outcropping in the trench? Have you sampled?
Range of between probably roughly 200 meters further south for hole 52, but we have similar mineralization in other holes, and also some other channels, surface channel. It's give down to 300 meters further south from that outcrop. But to be honest, I have to mention that, so we have a total of close to 10 different drill holes with similar mineralization than that trench. However, we cannot say actually that it is connected to the zone of the trench is directly connected to those 10 holes.
Okay,
because,
yeah, of course, but one of the things that I'm wondering is the projected dip of that contact in the direction of those holes?
The projected contact of what?
Of those two rock packages, where you have it outcropping, and is it projected to dip in the direction of that hole 52?
I mean, strike a yes and no.
Okay.
I could say yes, but it seemed to form a kind of a curve.
Oh.
So it seemed to form a zone which is outside the main intrusive. It's inside the metasediment. It's a mix of tonalite, pegmatite, and metasediment. Seemed to form a kind of a curve that follow the nose of the main intrusion.
Oh. So you could have a well-prepared package of rocks there.
We think yes, and honestly, when we look at those grades, for sure they include very high grade stuff with mixed with lower material, but it seems that we can expect, or we can hope that we will have a kind of situation in the future with additional drilling. We are targeting to define a zone that could be what I will call, let's say, a kind of starter pit with an average grade that could range between 1 and 2 grams per ton. Okay, as a starter pit for a very much larger type of deposit. Now we're talking about the bulk tonnage, lower grade stuff,
okay,
which could range in that case. It's early to put a grade, but I could talk about the range when I'm talking about very large tonnage, about mining. Low grade, I'm thinking about grade in a range between 0.5 gram per ton up to 1.5 gram per ton. In that range, around a gram per ton, a bit less or a bit more. It's too early to give a grade, but it gives you a range. And with such grade, we're not talking of million tons of material. We're talking of many tens and probably more than hundreds tons of material at low grade. That's the range of number we are dealing with at G2.
I see. You still there, Dominic?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
good. I haven't lost you. Now, Dominic, there's nothing like some good high-grade material to get the market excited these days. Before we close, I also want to maybe touch a little bit on the condition of the market. But you know, some good juicy grades there would always get a lot of attention. Is that sort of chasing the high grade part of your go forward plans, Dominic?
Yes, it's very important you're talking about that because I talked about the low grade and the medium grade. However, again, we still work on both scenario. I mean, the high grade underground scenario is still valuable, and we're working on it too. So, as you know, we got high grade zone within a much lower grade, very huge volume or tonnage, but we are chasing the high grade stuff that could lead us to medium to very high grade gold zone with lower tonnage. When I'm talking about underground mining condition.
Yes.
But we still work on both scenarios because we have data to justify that. I want to add too that with the last summer work we did, the surface mapping and structural measurement that we took, and also the diagraphy survey. We just completed a second diagraphy survey during the summer. We don't have yet the result, but we are integrating these structural measurement and in our own model, and we increase a lot our understanding and confidence in the understanding of the structural feature of our rocks, because we're talking about an intrusion, granitic intrusion, a tonalite. However, it's 2.6 billion years old. If we compare to the Alaska-Yukon reduced intrusion-related gold system, where they're dealing with granitic intrusive, maybe 100 million years old. So, to the contrary, or I mean, in our case, it's similar type of lithology, but a lot more older. So these intrusion has been deformed. They are folded. And now we gain a lot of understanding relating to the structural control of the way the rock is folded. And then we have a very more efficient way to follow the gold mineralization.
I see. Now, you were earlier, I was kind of in my own mind, I was trying to connect the dots between the surface outcrop that you trenched across and that hole 52, because I know they're in the, you know, in the same kind of a scenario. You were cautious to note that that's not able to do that geotechnically yet. I imagine that is something that you're trying to do, which is to follow the trenching outcrop and try to connect it with some of that deeper drilling where you've hit high grade. Is that correct?
Exactly, you're right. When I mentioned we increase a lot our geometry or structural understanding of the folding up there, mean that we at some place, the rocks are north-south oriented. At other place it's east-west. Other place it's northeast-southwest, and the dip change too. But now we have a lot, very better or a better view of how the rocks are folded, and so we are only starting to increase and to connect the dots, which was the main challenge on that project. I understand many people may have some skepticism, however, and it's quite obvious and quite.
But you know what, Dominique, most of those people are not really thinking geotechnically. What I'm getting at is that, that is when you're looking at these higher grade type projects, you have to understand the structure. Otherwise, you're kind of shooting holes into the dark. And that can get very, very expensive when you're trying to chase the high grade. So understanding the structure is so important to your future success with the truth machine.
Exactly.
So where are we now, Dominique? Do we have any pending news for Sirius coming up, and what's the upcoming work going forward?
Yeah, so we started drilling 10 days ago, so there's one drill rig active on the property. As of today, there's probably 2 drill holes completed, the first one being a deep one. But drilling is continuing, and we'll have a second rig being added the next 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks from now. We will increase the drilling pace. However, we didn't receive yet a complete set of results from the long summer work that we completed. We still have some assays pending from other trench, namely the trench 6/9. We are waiting those results, and also there was so much channeling that we did on our main strip area. We almost doubled the meterage of channeling, which was reaching close to 900 meters of channeling. Now we double. We have probably close to another additional 1,000 meters of channel that was completed on that strip area. So these results are still pending. So we'll have probably next shot of results will come from the surface sampling, and probably we'll have then our first drilling assays coming in the coming weeks.
Now in that upcoming...
And also a continuous flow of results from the current drilling.
So Dominique, one last question on the work. Is any of that current or near-term drilling going to be in this area near, like trying to chase the structures for the high grade?
Again, we always, anyway, even when we are working drilling the low grade stuff, we are always hitting high grade in it. Okay, because these high grade are within that low grade envelope. So we always, in each drill hole, we always benefit and gaining understanding and also follow up on both the low grade and also the high grade. Okay. No problem with that. We are actually waiting assays result from trend 6/9, and then we'll have a mix probably of new target originated by the trench 2/2 and this second trench 2. We are just waiting for those surface results, and then we'll have probably an immediate follow-up by drilling on what's going on around trench 2-2 and 6-9.
2169. Okay, perfect. Dominic, before I let you go, I wanted to just ask you a couple of things. I'll sort of throw out my view of things when it comes to gold these days. I think that we came out of the bear market in early 2016. We've had some good runs, we've had some pullbacks, but I think we're still in a very bullish market for gold. What's helped out this year is that the US dollar, which had been on a few years of quite aggressive moves, had kind of rolled over at the beginning of the year. I think that a lot of that has to do with the debt situation and the interest rates and the Twitter-in-chief there, Donald Trump. And so I think that we've got a better market coming ahead for exploration. How do you feel about that, Dominic?
In fact, as everybody, I'm looking at what's happening in the market on the international scene and the economics of the gold market. However, as Sirius, now it's almost an old company. We work for a long time. We have a view of a long term. So it's like, imagine you're doing an investment for midterm for 3 years, but in any kind of sector. So you make your investment, and then with the new technology in your phone, each 5 minutes you're looking at the price of gold or the price of your shares or your investment. So this will be very long.
Yes.
If you're investing for midterm, you don't have to care about the variation of your investment within a very short period of time. So for us, the gold is there to stay. The gold industry is there to stay. It will be there in the coming weeks, in the coming years, and next century will be there. So for us, we're working for a world-class gold deposit, which means that either the gold price is low, medium, or high, we are looking for an economic deposit in any kind of situation for the gold price. So the good deposit always survives and is good with any level of price of gold. So that's why I don't care too much about that. We are focusing on delivering very good and strong world-class deposit.
Well, and I think that puts you in not a lot of companies, especially because of your location. A good place to look for something world-class is where you already know there's something world-class. And you said a couple of things that I think are also important for investors to be aware of, Dominic. It's how aggressive you guys are with your work and the news flow expected ahead of us. I think if anybody's looking for a short-term move in the price of gold, you certainly want to be looking at the companies that are, doing a lot of work and can generate a lot of news.
Yeah.
And I like your attitude.
My only feeling about Sirius is I don't own the share I would want to. I would like to increase my share.
You like to buy it.
As I can.
You like to buy it on the cheap, Dominic. I do too. Well, and having this conversation reminds me of conversations that I used to have with Andre Goumand, who is the guy who found the deposit next door to you, and he's a thorough guy like that, and I can attest to how thorough you are. I invited Sirios to provide me with some maps for my book because I thought so highly of the way you guys present your projects to the public. And so
Yeah. Andre is a very good guy, you know, a good gentleman. Yesterday, following the release of our result, he sent me an email, and I told him that we were increasing our understanding of the structural folding and the structural setting on the property, and he answered me that he loved that. So he was very kind, and he encouraging us to keep going.
Well, he's been always kind to me as well. He's a very smart gentleman. I consider him a mentor, and I really appreciate that you follow in his footsteps quite nicely, Dominique. And I'm going to invite our audience to take a look at Sirios and my other sponsors. I try to get the cream of the crop. And Dominique, again, thank you very much for shining some light on these recent results for my audience that's following your company.
Thank you again, Alan, for your invitation. It was a pleasure.
Excellent. On that note, I'm going to close the show and say thank you very much for joining me and Dominique from Sirius. Do your homework as always. The show is only for information purposes, and be sure to speak with your financial advisors before making any investment decisions. On that note, I'm going to say have a great day. Adios from Mexico.